So Michael Brownrigg has served on the Burlingame City Council since 2009, including 3 terms as mayor. He represents Burlingame on the RethinkWaste board as a vice chair, and also chairs the Zero Waste Working Group. He co-founded EPIS and Heritage Capital, which expands employee ownership to close wealth gap in our county. Earlier this year, the firm received the prestigious 2025 Skoll Award for Transitional Social Change. Michael will walk us through how RethinkWaste is implementing SB 1383 and driving our county towards zero waste. Please welcome Michael Brownrigg to the stage.
Thanks, everybody. It sounds like I can be heard okay? Yeah. Terrific. That's great. I want to first start by thanking SSMC for the work. Obviously, this is an environmental chapter that SSMC is focused on, but the work that the group does also on equity and the economy is so important for our county and for our country. So I really appreciate the broad scope of SSMC's work. You know, I sometimes take a step back, and I want to take a step back in terms of slightly higher level. So San Mateo County, as maybe all of you know, but maybe you don't, is probably the 4th wealthiest county in the country. But we don't swing. I don't think we hit as hard as we could in terms of leading policy, both at the county level, but at the state level, and even nationally. And that's one of the things that we can do with SSMC, but also at RethinkWaste. So I want to spend a minute talking about RethinkWaste more broadly, and I'll just quickly shout out Joe Lamariano, who's our executive director at RethinkWaste, Reagan Chung, who has helped me put together some of these points. And also I have to give a shout out to Sigal, who is our sustainability coordinator at the back, Sigal Michael. So thank you guys very much. Can we go to the first slide? Or do I have to do it? How do I do it? Here? Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's us. And I do want to talk briefly about what RethinkWaste is, because as important as it is for food waste, I also think our county and our residents care a lot about plastic waste. I think they care a lot about battery waste. I think they care a lot about waste and reducing it. So as I said, our residents have a very strong concern for the environment. Interestingly, California puts more waste into landfills than any other state per capita by an order of magnitude. So whereas state of Texas puts 17 tons per person into landfill, we put 34 tons. I don't think that, yeah, 35 tons per person. So we have a lot of work to do here in the state of California to reduce our waste footprint. And we've recognized that at RethinkWaste. So we created a zero waste working group about 9 years ago. This is a tremendous asset for our county. So it's actually right next door. It's a $168 million budget. It is one of the largest, so these things are called MRFs, Material Recovery Facilities. It is one of the largest in the country. So we handle 1,200 tons a day of waste. The average MRF in the country handles 300 tons a day. We're also publicly owned. That's unusual. A lot of these facilities are privately owned. When you're privately owned, no disrespect, you are profit maximizing. And if it's cheaper to bring something to landfill, that's what you're going to do. We have a public purpose in running RethinkWaste. We are 11 entities, 10 cities, and the county coming together to try to do things more efficiently, but also with a public purpose. And so therefore, I want to make the pitch that we're not only your ally for food waste and recovery, but for plastic waste, for innovation that might drive this county forward, this state forward in better ways to do waste hauling and waste management. So I wanted to make that point. And we are all committed to it. We have great private sector partners who do the heavy lifting. So that's Recology, who picks up your bins every day, and it's SBI, who helps us manage the MRF. But importantly, sitting on top of that is this public agency of the 11 municipal entities who've come together. And what that means is, and we'll go to the next slide, Oh, I'm sorry, I have to do it. Um, so, so we have been focused on this for a while. 1383, we are completely ready for it, in part because we've already been thinking about it. We did a waste characterization study a decade ago. We knew how much organic waste we were sending to the landfill. We knew what that meant for methane emissions. And so we took steps to try to extract organic waste even before the state, before 1383 was on anybody's radar. So we invested because, again, we're a public agency and we can make these kinds of investments in technology that would pull out food waste and turn it into biogas before it ever went to landfill. And that experiment got hobbled by COVID, because what stopped happening in the first year of COVID, we all stopped going to restaurants. So the amount of food waste collapsed. And so the experiment had to be put on pause. But that equipment, and that's me showing you where all the food waste goes into this enormous sort of garlic press that presses it into a slurry that then gets shipped off to one of our clean wastewater treatment plants and turned into biogas. We're going to now that the economy has recovered, we're going to be able to restart that that experiment to divert the food waste that makes it to our facility. I mean, lovely to recover food that can be eaten. I look forward to those programs rather than sending it to our facility or to landfill. But the stuff that does make it to our facility, maybe we can divert it from going into landfill. And as I say, we at Rethink Waste are here not only for food waste, but to advance other initiatives to lobby in Sacramento for better. We've been a big supporter of the plastic recovery and really canceling plastics that can't be recycled. That's the big, probably everyone here knows it, but that's the big head fake. You know, we'll put a nice triangle on the plastic bin, but if it has a 5 on it, it doesn't matter that it has a triangle around it. You can't recycle it. So we've been a big proponent of that. All right, so then I'll get to the meat of what we're doing, and I'm looking forward to any questions that might come up. So because again, Rethink Waste is all 10 cities, county coming together, we have the ability to make life a lot easier for our member agencies, the city of Burlingame, the city of San Mateo, and so forth. So all of the reporting and legwork that goes with 1383 is going to be handled, or at least guided, by Rethink Waste staff. So another great investment for us, because we don't all of our cities don't have to then make sure Segal knows how to do all this, or we have to hire another Segal to handle 1383. So it's a great benefit for those 10 cities in the county who are part of Rethink Waste. So Rethink Waste has already put a lot of material into Spanish, Chinese, English, and is circulating it. I am confident there is a green bin problem. We all understand that with multifamily housing. I'm confident that's a solvable solution. Certainly, new buildings should allow for more bins. That's one practical thing that cities can do with their zoning. But we will make sure there are green bins there. We'll make sure people understand they can put food waste in the green bin. And I'm confident, it may be a little bit rocky, that between Rethink Waste and Recology, will make a really strong showing to educate multifamily. I think a bigger challenge is some of the procurement issues that the bill also requires. So the bill requires a massive amount of compost be purchased by municipalities and put to use. And they did that, the bill's authors did that for a good reason, which is just like bottles and cans. If you create a market, then people are more likely to use put stuff in the bin for recycling, and the haulers will be more careful about it and so forth. That's the idea. But it has created an enormous consumption, an enormous reporting burden on cities, and then an enormous consumption issue. And I was trying to find, but there's like some staggering statistic. If you were to do 1383's compost, you'd put like a foot of compost across the entirety of Burlingame or something. Like, it's a really large amount. And that was moderated in a recent bill last year to push out some of those requirements and make it a little more reasonable, which I think is important. Nevertheless, we do all have to manage where we're going to put all that compost. We are required to do that. And that, I think, is a challenge that we see coming up. We obviously have Recology as a great partner for much of the county, not all of the county. So those, I've talked about Rethink Waste because, of course, that's the agency on which I serve. The other 10 cities have their own hauling relationships. And frankly, I'm not as clear about all of them. I'm sure they're all great contracts and great partners, but I'm really speaking to the relationships that we know and manage. And so Recology has been a great partner for us. And they also will be identifying places where, you know, the enforcement is more important or people aren't complying. And then it's up to the jurisdiction to go back and educate people if need be, fine. And so I'm going to stop there because I do want to allow time for questions. I will just comment briefly on plant-based food. So I'm a huge fan of plant-based food diets. I would hope that to the extent that this becomes a public policy issue, in other words, if you want to come and create ordinances and so forth, that we try to focus on the positive and not the regulatory element. So to me, plant-based diets are delicious. Come visit 12 Month in Burlingame if you haven't. Entirely plant-based, amazing food. So you don't have to lose on taste, and it's cheaper. So let's focus on the positives for people changing their habits and try to avoid some of, you'll forgive me, some of the scolding that sometimes goes on in this subject area. And I think we have a very positive story to tell on plant-based diets. So with that, thank you very much for giving me some time, and I'm happy to take any questions. At the back.
Shared about California versus Texas.
Yeah.
What is driving that double amount of waste? Is it the industries we have here? Is it really the household?
You know, I will get, it is a staggering number. It comes from EPA, so I trust the number. It is a few years out of date, but I don't think it could have changed that much in the meantime. I'll try to get back to you about what accounts for that significant difference. It could be that we have a much larger agricultural economy than Texas does. Texas, more oil and gas, obviously. And that could be a big part of why we see so much more stuff going to landfill and so much more organic waste. We are the largest emitter, as probably shows up in the report, which I read the executive summary, but we are the single largest emitter of methane from landfills in the country. Yeah.
Construction waste, because that's something, oh, sorry. Can you speak about construction waste and how does that tie in with SB 1383?
You know, if I may, Reagan, would you like to address that in terms of, we take our construction waste elsewhere, but perhaps you have a point of view, a more expert point of view.
Hi, everybody. Reagan Chung with Rethink Waste. Construction waste is part of the diversion under 1383. So if you take the C&D waste to our facility, we will make it a conscientious effort to divert it and sort it through for reuse and repurpose. So it's also part of a Cal Green requirement in California too. So if you guys are doing construction project, whether it's single family home, commercial construction projects, is all part of under Cal Green, and then also the Green Halo project too. So feel free to, not to take too much time, come speak to me afterwards. I can tell you more about it too.
Thanks, Reagan.
Can you talk a little bit more about the compost? I think many of us here are gardeners and stuff, and we'd love to know if there's a way that we can contribute to taking some of the compost.
Well, first of all, if you don't know, you can show up anytime at Rethink Waste at our Shoreway facility and help yourself to compost. We have a huge stack of it, and we love when people come and diminish the pile. So that's an always offer. I think in terms of managing the significant uptake in organic waste and compost that's going to come our way, I think cities working with Rethink Waste staff are going to have to develop a plan for how we actually can consume it. And yes, we will definitely reach out to our community gardeners and anybody else to make it as available as possible. By far, the cheapest way for a city to handle this is to have citizens come up with a truck and take it away. But we will probably have to be more proactive than that, would be my guess. And so we'll look at ways of also putting it to use in our parks and projects and so forth. It's a lot. It's a lot of volume that's required. Well, sorry, yes.
Thanks. Could you speak to kind of what the best case scenario was with that volume? Like, is it, I mean, you mentioned like 1 foot of compost over the entire area of Burlingame, but.
So they, Cal Recycle, again, because they want to create a market, like it's no good diverting organics and then just having it pile up somewhere else. That just releases methane somewhere else and not landfill. By the way, one small thing I want to say is that not only is this smart, sustainable practice to divert material from landfill, but our county has a really significant cost increase coming whenever it is that Ox Mountain fills up. And it's not too far away. It might be a decade, it might be longer if we're good about reducing waste. But when that day comes, everybody's rates will go up because we'll have to haul a lot farther away. So there's a financial interest that we all have in addition to the environmental imperative to do better. With respect to the amount of waste, Cal Recycle set a per capita limit, amount. You have to take this much per capita. Those numbers were unreachable for any of our jurisdictions in the time frame originally forecast. And so I forget the bill number, but last year the governor signed into law an extension and a moderation of some of those metrics. And I'm not familiar with exactly how that's changed, except to push out the deadline for all of that compost. It's not going to reduce it. I mean, we still have to take it, but it's not going to be as quick. It'll hopefully give us all enough time, all of our cities, to create the infrastructure to take and actually use that compost effectively. By the way, it's not just a city problem in terms of making this happen. There's not enough facilities to handle all of that organic waste. And on top of that, actually farmers quite like that organic waste. And ironically, if they were to follow 1383's guidelines, they would have sent so much more compost to cities, which we can't use, that it would have denied farmers the compost they need. So there needed to be some flexibility in how this ramps up and make sure we don't take it away from agriculture, which clearly is a great place to use compost. So that is handled in the rewrite last year, or the modification to the legislation last year.
Thank you. And just brief follow-up, is there a kind of idea bank or something that we could then engage with our public works teams to say, here are 30 different things that you could be doing with all of this compost that we're going to be responsible to purchase? Or has that? Joe,
I'll put you on the spot, our executive director. Do you want to talk about ways that communities might think about using compost?
Sure. Thank you, Michael. An excellent presentation, I might add. We're working on this very fact. Reagan and our team will be working with the different member agencies to identify those. But the top, the material is a very high quality soil amendment. So there's also another component of it that is mulch. So the real fibrous stuff is mulch. So that is like an anti-erosion and is really good for preserving water and not having it evaporate away. So we are working on that now. We'll have a public outreach campaign that will elaborate on that more. So there's a lot of tentacles to this bill. We're very excited about it. We were a very early adopter and very strong supporter of this when it was making its way through the legislature and then ultimately to the governor's desk. So it's something we're very proud of, and we're very excited to implement it. And it's very challenging. Nothing comes easy on this thing, but so that's it.
Thank you all. I think my time is up, but I can catch you later, but I do want to make sure that my fellow speakers have their time. Thanks, Molly.